Welcome back to some more Retro Cup battles. We are in the last day of this league until the leagues rotate. So we're going to be trying out a different team featuring the Lapras paired with the Grumpig and the Furret in the back. So decent lead here. Swallow switches out into the Furret, so we know we can chip and dip here, as we don't have a great answer to this Furret, but we are going to be able to have the health advantage once we reveal our own Furret. We fire off this Swift. When we get to it, wow, we get the cap tie and they barely survive. So it looks like they are going to be able to save their shield. And then looks like this Goodra comes back in. Now we have a decision to make. What do we think is going to be the best way to close this game? Well, we're going to go into the Grumpig here. We do shield. That move ends up being the Draco Meteor, and that's going to be an easy win for us because the Lapras is going to get matched up against that Swallet, dealing a lot of super effective damage. So GG to our opponents, able to win that game. A little bit tricky with that first switch in, but we were able to figure it out. Next, we got the Lapras versus the Electrode. Whoa. Very, very interesting pick here. Looks like the Furret is going to have to shield. They go for the Wild Charge and Dip, and they go into their Ghost type. That is a very interesting answer here. They are going to be able to survive all that, and we're just going to tank the move. No! Unfortunately, the Dynamic Punch does KO, and they are going to maintain alignment. We really needed that to survive so that we can flip the switch. We could have shielded, but we thought we could survive. Here comes the Lapras onto the Electrode. We chip away at it, and they actually are just going to Wild Charge and Dip, and there you go. Ends up being another Ghost type. ABB double Ghost in the back. Unfortunately for us, we do have a Psychic type, so this is not looking great for us here. Even that Dynamic Punch bait is not going to do us any good because they get to their Shadow Punches so much quicker. And they still have a shield, so this is going to be GG's for us, unfortunately. We really needed that Furret to faint because that was probably their biggest win condition. So that was a really good Furret by them. All right, let's see what we find next. We're going to have Lapras versus Grimer. Okay, and another Shuttle Grimer. They reveal Goodra again. So Goodra switch in here. We're going to stay in, and we bait them with our Sparkling. Now we're going to be able to get to this Furret. What do we think they have here? We're going to shield because they did farm up a lot of energy. Ends up being the Sludge Wave Goodra. So looks like a lot of Goodras here running out a bunch of interesting stuff. Unable to farm down. After tanking the move, they switch into their Grimer. So Grimer is going to try to farm us down, but we don't allow that. We go into our Grumpig, we tank the Sludge, and we get the farm down. Is this a double dragon or is this the Furret? Okay, it ends up being the Dragapult. So we thought there was a Furret, that's why we went to our Grumpig immediately, but it ended up being right for the other reason. And you can see right there, our opponent tries to catch the move, but now we go into the Lapras versus the Dragapult. Dragapult has a ton of energy. We just shield here because we're going to be able to get to another move, and they realize that they're not going to be able to win that game. So GG to our opponent, able to kind of maintain alignment, but also making sure the Goodra doesn't get the big move off. Horrible lead. We're going to switch into the Grumpig and see if we can bait out something. Looks like our opponent does elect to stay in. They throw the Shadow Ball, and we are able to shield the correct move. We're going to go for this Dynamic Punch bait. We do get the shield, and that should allow us to get to this next move before they do. Shadow Punch is gonna get shielded as well. So it looks like we are gonna get the 2 shields. They decided to bait the move and they revealed their own Furret. So they've already switch locked themselves. We have the energy advantage and we still have a shield. Let's see if this is gonna work out for us. Trailblaze is used, and that means that we can get to this Swift before them easily. This should take it out. Perfect. They do not want to come in with their Jellicent, and they actually have a Medicham in the back. This is going to be very difficult because, okay, our opponent does elect to try to catch the move, but we're just going to tank this move, and then maybe we could have over-farmed more there, but we think that we're not going to be able to KO, and then we're just going to farm down anyway, so I think it turned out the same. Looks like we are going to have to throw at least 2 Sparkling Arias, but they are going to take us out before we reach there. And now we're going to see if we can win this game with our backline. Turns out that they recognize their win condition. They are going to fire off Ice Punch there, and we are 2 Psy Waves away from getting to our Dynamic Punch, and that unfortunately loses us the game. So GG's to our opponent. Looks like we needed to enter with Furret and try to get to that Swift. Okay, Lapras versus the Dragonite here. Shadow Dragonite staying in, throwing the move for a potential superpower. We do show the correct superpower. We're going to fire off this Sparkling, and they decided to just tank it and switch. So it looks like Shadow Blastoise is going to be able to get to Hydro. We do tank it. We fire off this Trailblaze. We end up getting that shield. And now we're going to see if we can apply the pressure to them again. We are going to throw this Swift before they get to their move. They decided to let it go and ends up being a Clocksire. So Clocksire doesn't love to see these Sidewave users remaining. We are going to fire off the Shadow Ball, dealing a huge amount of damage considering Clocksire is a tank. Sludge Bomb is used to chip away at us, and they get to an Earthquake before we get to our move. And at this point, all we have to do is just win the game with the Lapras, because we know the Dragonite is relatively energy dry. And then these Sideways are just doing way too much damage. We force them to throw energy here, and we get the farm down with the Sidewave. So GG's Trap Fight. Check out the team if you haven't already, and let us know if you enjoyed the video.